Hey guys, you're gonna watch a for sale by owner call that I made, and I set an appointment with this seller. There are a few things that I want you to notice when you're listening to this call. This particular seller, he's out of town, he's not in my area, and I requested a Zoom meeting, and he said, well, I don't know if I want to get it on Zoom, but I'd be willing to get on a phone call with you. And I'm like, okay, sure, you could have a listing appointment over the phone. When I was selling real estate, we didn't really use Zoom or video conference, and I had a lot of absentee owners where I actually did a listing appointment over the phone. So you need to be versatile. You need to think outside of what you think the way things need to be. The other thing that I want you to notice with this particular seller is he's very confident. And he said to me over and over and over again, I am not interested in listing with a realtor right now. And that's common. I mean, you could expect every for sale by owner to say that to you. I went around that conversation several times and I said, I understand you're not interested in listing the property with an agent. Clearly, that's why he's selling on his own. And at the same time, if you saw a benefit, a financial benefit, if you believed you could sell it for more money, would you be open to considering a different option? And he would say, no, not right now. And I went around this conversation several times. And he said, well, if you want to run comps, you can go ahead and do that, and then we could talk. And I said, sure, I'd be happy to run the comparables so we could figure out what's the highest price you could sell a property for. And when we speak, would you also allow me a few minutes to share with you how and why I feel so confident that I can net you the most money possible, sell it for the highest price where you would end up with more than if you sold it yourself? Sure, I'd be willing to give you the time. When you listen to this call, there were so many points on the call where I could have just given up and hung up and saying, this is not worth my time. Understand that a for sale by owner, without knowing who you are and what you can do for them, they're not going to tell you over the phone, sure, come list my house. I mean, could that ever happen? Yes, and it's happened to me because I've made tens of thousands of prospecting calls, but it's an exception and not the rule. The rule is what you're going to hear. This is how you have to handle a call to be able to set an appointment, because right now this seller that you're going to hear me talk to, obviously he's not ready to list with me, has no idea what I do, who I am, and he's set on doing things a certain way because he doesn't realize that it's not the best way for him to do it. So keep that in mind as you're listening to this. If you have any questions, you can put it on the comments. I'll be happy to answer. I'd love to hear your comments on this particular for sale by owner call. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Here's the call.
Hello.
Hi, is this Steven?
Speaking.
Steven, this is Jackie. I'm a real estate agent here in the area. I notice you have your home for sale by owner, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I decided to give you a quick call just because I work with buyers and sellers in the area. Just wanted to see how things are working out for you.
Well, it's only been up for 2 weeks. I was down there a week ago and just putting a sign out front and doing nothing else. I had 15 people come by, and I had three decent offers, but not what I want.
Okay. So, wow. So you're doing pretty good. Yeah. Steven, the offers you received weren't exactly what you wanted. Were you able to counter them or see if something?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I did, and like I said, they didn't want to do that high, so they said thanks. I've got a couple Canadians that have talked to me from Canada that are coming down in the next month, and they want to see it, and they're very interested in it. Yeah. Their friends, in fact, one of their friends owns the unit next door to me.
Oh, so, okay. So they probably already know the area and know what you have.
Yes, they come down every year and rent. They just didn't come down the last year because of COVID.
Right.
And this year because of COVID, but they're coming back. They opened the borders, and they're coming back, and they know my neighbor, and they come down and rent in the area that they're looking to buy now. So
yeah, and are you somewhere? You're not in the property or living in the property?
No, I live in Georgia.
Oh, okay, I got you.
This is a second home, like a vacation. My mother used to live right down the street from me, and she was in her 90s.
Yes.
And we had that so we could go down and see her and visit with her and whatever. And then she passed away a couple years ago, so we don't get down there that much.
Right.
And the house is sitting empty. We go down once in a while.
Yeah.
And since the Canadians aren't coming, I had a couple of Canadian husband and wife that for 3 years came down in November and stayed till April. And they were fantastic. And they're not coming now. They have an elderly mother, and they're not coming anymore. So.
Well, I'm sure you know it's an excellent time to be selling it. I mean, this is like the hottest market in U.S. history, so you couldn't have picked a better time. We don't know how long it'll last, but it's been really, really good. Stephen, is saving the commission the reason why you decided to do this on your own instead of using an agent?
Well, part of it is, I didn't want to get into the commission, and the other part is sometimes it's a pain when you get people that come in and want to do. I'd rather have cash offer, and a lot of people want to try to mortgage, and then you tie it up while they're trying to get the loan, and then you lose buyers because they can't make offers, and then these people can't get the loan for whatever. My son's a mortgage broker now.
Yeah.
So he deals with people all the time, and he always runs into issues where people do stupid things, like they get pre-qualified, they know they got the money, and then 2 weeks before they want to buy a house, they go out and buy $6,000 worth of furniture. Or
I hear you.
And then the bank comes back and says, "Yep, sorry, can't give you the loan now."
Yeah.
And and so it falls through, and then they got to reapply, and just on and on. And so far, everything I've had has been cash offers. Everybody's been willing to pay cash. It's just a lot of them have been lowballing me.
Right. Well, and that's not to say that you cannot. And I understand all the issues with mortgage. I mean, your son is a mortgage broker. I've been in real estate for 25 years. I've sold thousands of properties in Broward County and some in Dade County. So I understand. I understand the process. And cash buyers are great, except they use the fact that they're paying cash as leverage to get a lower price. Generally, they're not necessarily the buyers that are going to pay you the highest possible price. And the comment you made about somebody like a week, 2 weeks before they're about to be approved for a mortgage, they go make a purchase. I mean, those things happen, but it's not the rule. I mean, those are exceptions to the rule. If they're, especially with your son being a mortgage broker, when you have a buyer that is pre-approved with a mortgage broker that you trust, because sometimes you get a pre-approval from I don't know what, and it's not legitimately what it's supposed to be.
Right.
So
no, he does a full loan application.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you're no doubt about it. But
he doesn't do, like, a lot of times, and I had this happen when I bought my second house up here.
Yeah.
The realtor who was recommended to me was great. But
Yes.
she talked to my wife and asked her information and said, "Oh, okay, you're approved for this." Well, that didn't mean squat to the bank.
Right.
Because she didn't get the financials, she didn't get our credits, she just asked her, "How much do you make?"
Right.
And all this. So,
and
you've got him. My son does it where he gets all your financials, all your debt, all your whatever, and he actually puts it in, and because he's a broker and he works for his own company.
Right. Well, and he doesn't want to waste his time.
When you're approved with him, you're approved.
Yeah, 100%.
Stuff, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
And I agree with what you're saying on the cash, but right now in the market, a lot of northerners coming down.
Yes.
They're paying top dollar with cash. I mean.
Yeah. You could.
Neighborhood houses. Well, my neighborhood. Where I live in Georgia.
Yes.
A house stays on the market 2 days.
Yeah, I know. South Florida's
2
been.
2 days later, it's sold. In fact, I live in North Georgia, Northeast Georgia.
Yes.
Outside Atlanta.
Yes,
and, we just had a lady the other day that put a sign up, where a realtor put a sign up, and within 3 hours had 2 offers, and one guy came in with cash and bought it cash.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's crazy.
I know it's been, the market in South Florida has been the same. There's some signs right now that it's just starting, it's not going down by any means, but it's not as hot as it was. It's a little stabilizing a little bit, but yeah, you're right. I mean, there's still cash buyers, and I didn't mean to say you wouldn't be able to find a cash buyer that will pay the absolute highest price, but you know, they want to use the cash as leverage. So, and then, you know, I don't know if you thought about this, Stephen. Um, the thing is, and I understand how you're thinking, because obviously if you don't pay a real estate commission, you know, the math in your head is okay. I don't.
I'm not against paying the commission, because what they can do is sell it for the price higher to cover the commission. So if I get what I want out of it,
yeah,
then I don't mind paying the commission, as long as I'm getting the bottom line number that I want.
That you need. Okay.
So,
okay. So,
if I want X amount of dollars, you raise it to cover the commission, sell it for that, I'm happy. I don't have a problem with that.
Well,
but I'm not going to sell it for my price and then have to take the commission out of my price.
I understand. And Stephen, so let me ask you this. I mean, I know where your property is. I see it, but I haven't done any kind of research, so I couldn't over the phone tell you, sure, I can sell it for this price or that price. I mean, I'd be insulting your intelligence. Any real estate agent that has experience knows there's some research involved to really figure out what's the highest price that a property can be sold for. So here's what I'm thinking. You're under no obligation. Would you be open to setting up a 20-minute meeting on Zoom? We could do it on a video conference. I will do some research and determine, we can discuss it and determine what's the highest price that we can sell it for in today's market. And I'll also share with you what is it that I do differently that would get your home sold for actually more money than you could sell it on your own for. So, you know, you could look at that information and then you could decide if it's an option that you might want to consider. Would you be open for a 20-minute meeting?
Well, I had my son went through and ran the comps in the development.
Okay.
And because, are you familiar?
I am, yes.
Okay. Because most of the units in there are, they sell for almost nothing.
Yes.
My house, it was built by Jacobson.
Yes.
And I was very involved in the building of the house. It was upgraded completely. In fact, instead of on the outside, the cement board.
Okay.
On the outside.
Yes. Yes.
I have upgraded insulation. I have double pane windows.
Yes.
I have knockdown, upgraded granite and stainless kitchen in it. This is a home. It's a built home.
I understand.
But when you go do the comps,
right,
what you're going to find is the highest unit was my neighbor next door, who sold 2 years ago.
Right.
And there hasn't been one, a HUD house or on the golf course. I'm on the golf course.
Yes.
That is sold other than his. So there are comps to deal with, because you can't put and renovated inside as a comparable price to mine.
Right, but
because it's a different thing altogether.
Right. No, I understand it 100%. Okay, and when there's a property like yours that is unique in a certain area, all of the features that you have and those differences are all taken into consideration. You're right. Your property is not going to sell for the same price that the next door for, and that's the case regardless of what it is or where it is. You know, as a real estate agent with my experience, even though with a cash buyer you won't need an appraisal, although even a cash buyer could request an appraisal. They're entitled to have it appraised, but it's not necessary, needed for because there's no mortgage involved. But that's how when an appraiser comes in to appraise a property, they compare the property to other similar homes that have recently sold. And if there are not enough, there's not 3, because they need 3 comparables in usually 6 months. They have to go a little bit outside the area, but they have to. An appraiser can never go to the lender and say, sorry, I cannot appraise. They have to figure it out. And they take into consideration all of the things you said that your property has that are different than the comparables. They say, well, this one, Stephen's home, is worth more money because it has this, it has that the others don't have. That's how they come up with the appraised value. It's not, because it's very rare that when you do an appraisal, you're comparing oranges and oranges. It's always apples and, because no home, unless it's a cookie cutter neighborhood, they're usually not exactly the same. So adjustments need to be.
That's the interesting thing too. There is my neighbor's house next door is my exact house.
Okay, yeah.
I put mine in. He came and looked at mine.
Yeah.
And he did the exact same floor plan and exact same house just a year or two later than me.
Yes.
But like I said, he sold it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And the market has changed drastically.
Exactly. And all of those things are taken into.
But like I said, you know, if you want to run comps and find, you know, and do that, you're welcome to do that. I don't really want to get on a Zoom call. If you want to call me back and tell me what you found and what you think, that's fine.
Well, that's fine. If you prefer to do it over the phone, that's okay too. Here's what I'm proposing, Stephen, is this. I understand the math and the logic behind, I'm going to sell it myself, because if I don't pay a real estate commission, or at least, you know, portion of the commission, I'd be able to keep more money. And I would like to run the comparables so we can figure out what's the most we can sell it for. But I'd also like to take a couple of minutes, and it won't take more than 20 minutes of your time, because obviously I respect your time. I don't want to waste it, and it won't be a waste of your time. I'd like to take a few minutes to share with you how and why. I have no doubt in my mind that if you were to consider working with me, you would end up with more than if you sell it yourself. So you can take all of that information and decide what's best for yourself. So we could do a phone.
Like I said, I've had multiple realtors call me and call
me. Yes.
And like I said to them, I've only done this for 2 weeks.
Yes.
I was down there for a week and got multiple, and now I'm up here and I'm still getting calls from people down there.
Yeah.
And I've only done it for 2 weeks. So at this point in time, I'm just going to consider continuing this way.
Right.
And see, we're not in any position that we have to sell it. The house is paid for.
I understand.
So there's nothing I have to sell it or do. So if at this point, you know, we're not in any hurry, and if need be, we don't sell it right now, it's not a problem.
I understand.
But at this point, I just want to keep it as by owner for a while and see what happens.
I got you. Okay. I understand.
If you want to go and run comps for you,
right.
You know, tell me what you think. That's fine.
Okay.
But at this point, I'm just going to keep it as by owner.
Okay. We could do the comps. Would you at least be open to hearing why the reasons why and how I'd be able to net you more money? Because here's what I'm thinking, Stephen. You sound like a really smart person. Okay. And I mean this. Obviously, you know what you're doing and you're not in a hurry, but regardless of the time, whether you sell it now, a month, 2 months, 6 months from now, I would imagine that more important than how long it's going to take to sell it is selling it for the most money possible and keeping as much money as possible. That's more important than when you sell it. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, in the end, and you again, there's no pressure here. Obviously, you're under no obligation. But if you actually felt that it could be financially beneficial for you to work with me instead of selling yourself, I imagine that you would at least be open to that possibility. Not do it, but at least consider it. Like look at it, and
I'd be open to it, but
not
right this time.
Yeah, no, and I understand. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to say, sure, come list my house now, because, I mean, you don't know who I am. You don't know what I do. You don't even know how. I'm talking about, I'd be able to net you more, but you're like, I don't know how that could be possible. I understand the math doesn't even make sense, but if it made sense to you, then, maybe.
Well, and again, you're about the 10th realtor that's called me, and they're all telling me the same thing.
Well,
they can get me the most money, and they can do this, and they can do that, and they sell this many houses, and they've been in the business this long, and all that. And like I said, right at this point, right now, I'm going to keep it at buy owner, and I'm going to see what happens.
Okay.
And like I said, if you want to do the comps and talk, we can do that. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Well,
and did it for me before we listed it.
Right.
And looked at everything.
Yes.
And if you want to give me your perspective over his, that's fine.
Okay.
He was a realtor for many years, and then he went into the business with 2 partners and created a mortgage company.
Right.
He's a broker now.
Right.
So
yeah,
he's been doing it for 15 years. He's not new in this. He knows what's going on. So
I understand, and I respect that, and I can tell you, Stephen, if you're open to us looking at the comparables together and also hearing how and why, like I said, I'm confident that I can benefit you financially. I would like to meet with you because I feel like once you look at that information, you might have a little bit of a different perspective, because even though you've talked to a lot of agents, you've had the very experienced agent that you had a conversation with, I'm confident that what I'm going to share with you, it's not anything you've heard before. And as a smart person, I'm sure you would look at it and then, hey, you decide what's best for yourself. So what time would be good? We could set up 20 minutes. I'll give you a call back. I'll have all the information. And would you be open maybe around 3 or 4 o'clock today?
Sure.
Okay.
Probably 4 o'clock would be better.
4 o'clock is better. Okay, sounds good. Stephen, my name is Jackie. Is this the number, good number, right, to reach you back at 4 p.m.?
This is my cell phone.
Excellent. Okay, I appreciate the opportunity. I'll talk to you at 4 p.m.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.